So today we're going to make custom art for greeting cards. This holiday season, it's a great gift, a personalized gift for your Christmas greeting cards. You can add a picture or something like that. But we're going to do acrylic pouring. This is acrylic pouring. If you want some other examples of acrylic pouring, check out some of the other videos I have on my channel. I also have done acrylic pouring on ornaments, which I will link in the tag above and in the description below. So these are really easy to do. If you've never done acrylic pouring, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to get some beautiful cards. You're going to need a couple of things. The first thing is somewhere to pour on. I actually have a silicone mat that I do all my pouring on, which will work great for this, and I'm going to do it straight on the mat. If you don't have that, you can absolutely use baking paper. This will work great. We're going to put the paint on it and dip the cards in essentially, so that'll work just fine. You can also use just plastic drop cloths, or even you can cut a plastic bag, a garbage bag, cut it, lay it flat on your table. That will work perfectly for this application. Then you're going to need something to pour on. I purchased these cards from Michael's. You can either use something like this. This is just heavyweight. You definitely want to get heavyweight. You don't want just regular paper. But so these heavyweight cards, and I got these from Michael's. There's 12, there's cards, and there are envelopes. This is probably the easiest way to do it. But if you don't want to do that, you can also just cut down some watercolor paper. You want watercolor because it's much thicker than even mixed media or other mediums. Watercolor paper or very thick construction paper. You don't want to do a full sheet because it'll warp too much. You want to make sure you're cutting it down to the size of your card before you paint, and I'll show you that in just a minute. You'll want some sort of tape so that we don't get paint all over the back, and maybe you want to frame your pour on the card, so the tape will help there. And then you need some paint. I have all this leftover craft paint that I've gotten from friends and family. These are $1 to $2 per bottle at a craft store, even less if you buy them in bulk. And I've got a ton of them, so I'm just going to use a bunch of these. So the first thing we need to do is prepare our cards. Now again, I've got these. These come with 12 envelopes that fit these cards exactly perfect. And then these are just thick cards that open that we're going to do. So what we're going to do is, one, I don't want paint to get on the inside, on the outside. I only want paint on one side. So what I'm going to do is take this painter's tape or frog tape. And if you don't mind your cards being a little bit dirty, you don't need to do this. But I think it looks a whole lot better. And I'm just going to frame this. So I'm going in maybe 1/2 inch. On the side, and then I'm just going to fold it over to the other side. We're just going to do this on all sides. I don't have any fingernails, so it makes this a little more difficult. The thing that this tape is going to do, two things. It's going to give us a little bit of more support because, again, we're putting liquid on paper, so it will buckle if too much of the liquid gets into the paper. And also, we're just making sure we have a clean lines for what we're doing here. So I'm going to put two opposite sides on first. And you don't want to use masking tape or anything like that because it will actually pull the paper and rip the layers of the paper. So that's why I use painter's tape, so it doesn't attach to the paper and mess that up. Just cut those off again. All right, so now that we have these taped, and I did a smaller border on this one just because I felt like it, we're going to do two different methods. The first method, we can just take these craft paints, cheap craft paints. I have gold, silver, rainforest, green, and cherry, just because I liked the colors that these were. And all we're going to do is take one of these, I'm going to take the bigger one, and cover it with color. I mostly covered this with paint, and all I'm going to do is take my card and flip it over, put it right on top, and squish that bad boy down. Make sure I get paint. I feel like I get paint everywhere. All the corners. And then I'm just going to lift this up. Turn it over and let it dry. That's it. That is a beautiful, really easy card to make with acrylic paints. All right, Pouring Nation, I've got another version of pouring on a card, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, but I wanted to take a second to let you know that this channel is about teaching people how to acrylic paint pour. Anyone can do it. I'm a computer programmer by trade. I learned to do it from YouTube, and these are the things I teach on this channel are all the things I wish I knew right when I started, and the reasons behind why things work the way they do. And if that's what you're looking for, please subscribe, like this video, and hit the bell notification so you get notified every week when our new videos come out. Also, during this holiday season, I wanted to take a second to give some props to my mom. She actually wrote a holiday book that I have really enjoyed, and I wanted to let you guys know if you guys are interested in feel-good small-town holiday books, then this is the book for you. Her book is called The Christmas Guardians by Janice Voorhees. It's on Amazon, and I will link to that in the description below if you're interested. Otherwise, let's get back to paint pouring holiday cards. For this next section, we're going to use the exact same paint. I'm just going to take one of these paint things, and we're gonna put 2 parts paint and 1 part water, because we want it to be a little bit thinner, because we're gonna use a scraper, a kitchen scraper, to push the paint over the top of each other, which is called a swipe, and make a different pattern, a pattern more like this. So again, 2 parts paint, 1 part water, and all we're doing is I got my paint in there. I'm going to put about half the water that I think I need and give it a good stir. This paint doesn't take very long at all to integrate. Just make sure it's nice and what we're looking for here is when I take a big chunk out and then put it right back in, it makes a little bit of a mound and immediately disappears. Now this is probably too big of a mound, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit more water. And we're just going to do this for all of the colors that we already have. And I'm going to add white. And with the white, I'm going to swipe the white over the other colors. So again, we have that here. And I apologize for the... So this barely makes a mound and immediately disappears when I drop it back in. And we're going to use the white to swipe with, because the white, as it swipes, it makes this lacing, and then it takes on a little bit of the coloring. See how this is kind of reddish on the outside? That's why white is a great swipe color. So let's get to the swipe. So we're going to leave I'm right-handed, so I like to go right to left. So I'm going to leave the very right open for the white, but on the rest of it, I'm just going to pour maybe a couple on each. Just little strips of color for all of my little colors here. You see how this is much more runny than that first batch that I did? That's on purpose. I don't have to cover everything because I'm going to kind of tilt the paint around in just a second here. Do need a little bit more on this side. And with this, we're just going to take my card, stay ever so slightly, move the paint around, make sure I get some good coverage. Make sure the paint's about the same area here. I don't want any on the back, so I'm just going to clear that off really quick. Same thing here. Just slightly. Let the paint run around. And then I'm going to take my white. I'm going to stir again because I put that WD-40 in it. I'm going to take my white that's about the same consistency. It could be a little bit thinner if I wanted to, and I'm just going to put it on the end here. I'm going to take either a cake spatula, if you've got a palette knife, these work really well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of that white and just kind of run it over the rest of the colors. That's it. Clean that off so I don't get all the colors here. The same thing here. Last but not least, I'm going to take these. Just make sure I don't have big pieces of paint. And then I'm going to put them in a place where there's not paint around. I'm just putting them right here so they can dry. I really like how this silver came out. I'll get a close up here in just a second. Alright, so here's those silvers. That silver actually really came out really nicely on this one. The white on the right, it's alright. And then this one's just beautiful. And then the two we smashed together. Some beautiful colors there. Alright, our cards have dried for 2 days. Really you only need about a day, but I usually leave them a little bit longer just to make sure. And we're going to peel the tape off. You can warm these up. Either get them warm in the room or maybe take a hairdryer around to the tape to help it come off more so you don't peel any of the paper off. So that's one thing you can do. I'm just going to grab one of these here. And then what I like to do is take one corner, get it coming off, and then just kind of pull. This is what I did when I used to paint apartments. If you pull tape like this rather than straight up like this, you don't grab the paint and pull it off this way. This way it forces it to stay in the line there. And we're just going to peel this all off. This is the place you need to be the most careful, is when you're coming off of the very ends. But this is the one place where it will pull. It has the easiest time separating the layers of paper. So make sure you're very careful around that first end that you're pulling off of. And then right at the very end. And I did get a little bit of paint on the back of my cards. I don't mind that at all, as long as it's not inside. That works perfectly. And there you have it, a custom Christmas card. Obviously, you could use this for birthdays, any other holiday. Just happens to be Christmas time, so that's the type of cards that I'm doing. And this is a great way to send a unique gift to your friends and family this holiday season and enjoy doing it.